At 12 people in queue. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We appreciate you joining us today for our interactive strategy session on building a 360 view of your customers with Microsoft Fabric. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Daniel Knott. Daniel is an enterprise architect with extensive experience in Microsoft technology. He'll be guiding us through the importance of understanding our customer in today's market and demonstrating how Microsoft Fabric can provide a comprehensive view of customer data. And with that, I'll hand over to Dan to begin the session. Daniel, to you, just very quickly.
Thank you very much. Am I all good to go?
In a second.
No worries.
And you are?
Good to go.
Perfect, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nikki. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the session on Mastering Customer Insights, Unlocking the 360-degree view. In terms of today's session, very much first off, understanding the degree of what's the 360-degree view of the customer and what that looks like for you. Then obviously how we look to achieve that, some of the challenges. We'll sort of dive into a little bit of a use case and some benefits around 360-degree view and how we can sort of break up that chunk, as we call it, into smaller chunks, and we'll look at a use case and some of the benefits. And then we'll take a look at Microsoft Fabric as well and how we can solve and implement a single customer view and walk through how that is possible with a reference architecture and some of the benefits. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please submit them to Nikki. She'll be administrating this session as we go. So yes, any questions that sort of come out, I'll leave to the end and answer. And obviously we can follow up with them as well. So in terms of understanding the 360-degree view of your customer, it's always good to understand the context of where you've got existing customers and new customers and why they matter. So obviously, in terms of some statistics, very much we understand, you know, from leading industry experts like Gartner and McKinsey, for instance, you know, pointing out that 65% on average of business comes from existing customers. And, you know, on top of that, when we're trying to attract new customers, you know, it's 5 times as much effort to attract a new customer as it is to keep an existing one. And then in terms of one lost customer, like if we lose one of our existing customers, that's 3 times as much effort to acquire a new customer. So you can see straight away from the statistics alone how much your existing customer base is important to you. And the biggest challenge, and we'll also come across the business challenges, and we'll also come across some technical challenges in this session, but we'll start to understand how we can overcome those challenges and why, you know, with these statistics, why it's important to nurture and understand your existing customer base, as well as obviously building out new customers as you grow. But if we take a look at our customer in terms of how they interact with us, and this is a customer or a potential customer, but we'll start with a customer for now. You know, they transact, whether that's in store, online. We've got transactional systems that capture their products that they purchase, when they purchase, and how they purchase. We've also got external systems as well. So outside of the traditional social media, we might have you know, analytics sort of on Google or on websites capturing traffic, how they've come to us, where they've come to us, referrals, marketing, CRM, you know, again, other platforms external to the ERP platform that may be housed in-house. Then we've also got the call center. So obviously, as the customer may have issues or queries, they may wish to obviously, you know, call up, interact, whether it's a faulty product, whether it's a question about a product. Again, how they interact with you from a call center perspective is obviously captured often in a siloed data set, a separate transactional system that may need some integration in with the transactional system. And then we've also got email, how they communicate, and obviously feedback. So we've got several ways here in which a customer can interact. Now, these touch points that we're sort of looking at here are often in any enterprise organization separate ERP line of business applications. There'll be complex landscapes. So trying to join all these sources up can be a bit of a challenge for the business. Understanding where to start can also be a challenge. But understanding, and trying to bring this customer together and understanding how they purchased, what issues they've had, how they've communicated, maybe what marketing we've sent to them, and how that's worked as well. So if we start to look at that and map that across the customer journey, we've got sort of two key areas. We've got the data touch points, which we'll sort of touch on, and we've got the physical touch points, how the customer interacts with us along the journey. So if we start with the awareness, whether that's creating brand awareness, campaigns, referrals, that data, who we're going to target, is often held in like a loyalty platform, CRM databases, marketing platforms where third-party data can be used to push out marketing campaigns. Anyone that's interacted with you, that signed up for a newsletter, etc. Obviously, we've got a starting point of where we can start to push out and create brand awareness. And equally as well, social media can play a part. And as you see along the journey here, social media actually becomes a very pivotal data source, because when we're looking for a product, we might look at reviews, we might look at videos online, we might look at websites, we might also go to the brand in questions, socials, and look at their products they're endorsing, and then it might spark, how do we consider buying this product? We might go to the website, look at more information. We might go to the store and actually handle that good. If it's a TV, we might actually go and look at it in a store and see how that works. Again, we're tracking data all along the way. So we've got third-party data that we might be collecting. We might have links from marketing emails. We've also got website analytics, so we can see who's hitting our website, where they're looking, how long they're looking. Is promotions bringing more traffic? Is there a certain time event that's bringing traffic? Again, all this sort of data comes into understanding the customer, and then we get to the purchase stage where this product or service is consumed, often captured in an ERP platform or an e-commerce. And often, when you've got more than one data source there, you've got integrations that often occur between the two to make sure you've got enough stock in place. So if I'm purchasing online, that I'm purchasing a product, that we're not overstocking and we've not got commitment issues to our customer. And then we come into the retention. So after they purchase, they might wish to interact with us, as I sort of mentioned previously. Call center, chat bots, social media, all this data is being captured. And then we can understand how happy or unhappy these customers are and start to look at ways in which we can improve the experience there as well. And then we've obviously got, when we've got a product, we advocate it to our friends, we take surveys, we push that out to socials. Again, more information about understanding the customer. So we can really see here along the journey from start to finish how a customer will interact with us, and also we can start to look at potentially where data sources are. And we'll come into where we start and how we build a SCV in a moment, but you can see straight away we've got several data sources on this line of the journey that start to piece together as a puzzle. But what we've got to do is understand where the benefit is and how we can use that. But along the way, internally as well, so we spoke about the customer journey, but also if we take this a level down as a business, there's lots of different business processes and lots of different teams and departments. I sort of highlight this on the left with customer at the top. So we've got our customer interactions or our customer touch points. We've got the technology platforms that might serve that, loyalty platforms, marketing, ERP, CRM, etc., to name a few. But underneath, we've got business processes. So we want to, merchandising might want to know around inventory management, making sure we've got enough stock. If we're running promotions, when are we running promotions? In terms of the demand, so we can start to forecast, predict, and have the right stock for when we need it. Call center, in addition to that, we've got finance, obviously budgeting, forecasting, making sure that we've got goods, suppliers are getting paid, we're retrieving the money as and when, and we're keeping control of the cost management of the business. Alongside that, we've got e-commerce. So again, website management, products that are available on the website. You might, again, have scenarios where you've got exclusive products to the website, or you might have products across multi-platform, e-commerce, in-store, etc. And again, it's managing that order inventory, working with the merchandising team, making sure there's a supply chain, ensuring that we've got the goods and the stock. We're not overstocked and we're not understocked. And again, the same applies here to warehousing as well, making sure we've got enough stock in. And then we go across the spectrum there to marketing. So again, we want to run campaigns. We want to understand our customers. We want to segment them customers. We want to, produce content and push that content out via socials, whether that's marketing campaigns, social media. We want to make sure we're hitting the right target audience and we understand the demographics of our customers as well. And to do that, we start to look at the principles in which we, understand our customers. So we've got to start from the left-hand side. And the first part of that is capturing the data. And we'll come into use cases in a moment and how we can, identify, good use cases, business values associated to those use cases. But it all starts with data capture. What data sources do we have available to us as a business? We also then need to validate that data as in the quality of that data, because often we, when working with customers, one of the biggest issues is having that master customer record. We've got 3 or 4 systems in play, ERP, local ERP platforms, we've got e-commerce. Data silos can be often critical. So you've got a CRM platform, you've got an ERP platform, you might have a loyalty platform. Trying to join those up, interactions, a customer might interact only online. So they, and if you haven't got the right integrations in place, suddenly you've got data silos, and bringing those data silos can obviously cause problems. So validating that data is very key, and building out logic and matching and deduplicating. I might exist in 3 different platforms along the way, socials, deduping that and creating a master. So understanding where your master record is from, what platform, and then using processes and calculations to dedupe and create a master customer record that in turn updates the other records that you can enjoy and understand their interactions from other systems. Doing the merge algorithm, understanding what a customer is as well, is very critical, especially if in types of the industry that you may be in. It might be that you start with a contact first before they become a customer. So they haven't actually purchased from you, but they might get a quote first before they actually come and purchase a good. So understanding the logic about what a customer is very key there. And alongside, once you've got your master customer in terms of, and whatever source that may be, you want to enrich that data. So what other data do we have on this customer that we can enrich that's going to help serve the use cases in question that we're going to sort of build onto later? And that might be, demographic data, that might be social data, that might be all kinds of data sets that are relevant to the business to help understand and segment and target and use data in a key and pivotal way that will help business and offer business value. And then once we've got that, at the end of that principle, we've got a master record that we very much can use and consume across the board. And this is often housed in analytics platform or a master data management platform. So this is often separate outside of the ERP line of business. It's sort of a layer on top. And this is where the master records and the processes and the golden record, as it were, are mastered and consumed throughout this sort of single customer view, but also often for analytical purposes and future cases around machine learning and advanced analytics as well. I touched on earlier around some of the challenges, and I've sort of broken this out into 2 key areas. You've got the business challenges and then you've got the technical. So I'll sort of start with the business challenges first. You often, and I've sort of referred to it earlier, you've got that siloed of data. Often, different departments might even house their own platforms. So rather than use a commercially or enterprise-wide platform, there might be a specific platform that's key for them where they hold data, or it might even be in an Excel spreadsheet. Again, having that data that's available to the business can often, increase and provide significant benefit, because often you'll find that across departments they need the same data or similar data sets, and sometimes this data is key to understanding deeper insight around customer behavior. That also has an impact on customer experience. So if we've got siloed data, we've start to get a lack of understanding how they interact with us, but also their experience with us. If I'm calling up from a call center and you've got to then retrieve my information to understand what I've bought, how long I've been with you, etc., that can often, make me feel less valued. There's higher churn rates with that. And obviously then I start to look at other products, especially if I'm not feeling like I'm getting value or I'm not a valued customer. We all know as well that the competitive nature of any industry and business, that there's often competitors out there using data and offering new services, new products. So again, understanding the behaviors and patterns of your customer and where and what the trends are happening and how we can, utilize that and upsell and cross sell gives us a good advantage here of or combating that disadvantage of, customers looking elsewhere. And then, without understanding the single customer view, we don't understand what our customers' behaviors are, their patterns of buy, their preferences. And then it's difficult then, because when we start to do and push out marketing campaigns, it's often a blanket spread campaign versus targeted marketing against key customers. Identify your key customers, look after them, nurture them. And then obviously that will fall into a customer sort of retention strategy. And that can often, hit that as well, because if you don't look after your customers again might go and serve elsewhere. So key understanding around the loyalty, that their buying behaviors and patterns often comes into hitting the business in terms of revenue and growth. We sort of touched on a few points as we sort of started the session around, some of the technical challenges. Integrations are very, a hot topic when working with lots of customers. Having those separate data sources, and often there's legacy data sets as well. So some data might be on-prem, some data might be using cloud-based integrations, APIs available, etc. And bringing that data together from multiple systems can often be a challenge. Because there's a lot of effort to bring data together to ensure the data consistency and quality matches that, which is obviously falling into the second point there around data quality. Often is the big issue. Accuracy, completeness, and consistency of data is often a very big challenge. Yes, you capture a customer, but what is the accuracy of that customer data? And that data can, is very useful for analytics, but also serving future use cases like machine learning, customer churn. If you've got inaccurate postcodes or customer names, that can often, the inaccuracies can be picked up, and also it can have an impact in terms of any projects or campaigns and use of data. And I sort of touched on as well, alongside the silos and the data integration issues, there's often scalability issues as well. Supporting architectures that can't scale, are end of life, or need upgrading, and lots of, there is issues around the volume of data, as the capturing of data and the volume and, the need for data increases. Often current platforms struggling to meet the scalability needs as well. And then we sort of touch on as the other elements around security. We need to protect the customer data. We need to look after it. This is sensitive data. We need to ensure we're compliant. We've got privacy regulations met. We've also got the security, and that's in-house and ex-house. In-house and internal. In-house, who can see this data? How are we protecting this data? Whether it's encryption, security keys, etc. How we store that data and how we consume that data all come under this sort of branch of security. And then we sort of lead on to like skills enablement. Often as well, with a new platform such as a single customer view, there's new technology, there's new skills, there's new tools that are needed, and also we need adoption, which is often one of the biggest challenges of any sort of platform, whether it's analytics, integration, is that necessary skill set to use the data, understand the data, and leverage that data to then obviously use that data for the single customer view, campaigns, analytics, and obviously advanced analytics as well. as well. So in terms of how do we achieve that? So we understand the challenges. We've sort of looked at how our customer and why it's important and the value of an existing customer. Often starting with a single customer view, starting at the very top with business engagement, having the business identify a working group, get cross-departmental key stakeholders involved, get an exec sponsor, understand the why. What are we doing and why, and what the goals are. Once we've sort of got there, we can then sort of break this down into use cases and be scenario focused. So where are we going to start to work and start to map out the impact and value versus effort, starting with the small incremental goals of right, we can, deploy this. It's not the fully fledged single customer view. It's not the fully fledged, end product. However, we can show value and demonstrate value early on. Along that, we can support the adoption and enablement. Key stakeholders can get sight of this data, start to consume this data, feedback, and it becomes an iterative approach. And also it becomes an incremental approach as well, because we start to build, show value in each step in this sort of journey starts to show value. And then it enables us to be outcome driven and then reach those project and data goals that we've got that are aligned to the business vision. So it all starts with the business vision and where the business needs to go, and then fledging that down into departmental goals, and then breaking them down into use cases. In terms of so breaking that down from the high level approach, we then start to look at, a high level approach here of delivering a customer view. So what are the steps and processes that we're looking at? If we start alongside the left-hand side, we've got, I sort of mentioned there, that business stakeholder engagement, project teams, exec sponsors. So build that working group, understand, the involvement. There's often a time needed away from BAU, so ensuring that time is put aside, the project team, and can support internal and external partners as well. And then we start to get into the discovery and the planning phase, and this is really key, where we start to understand what it is we're doing, the challenges that we face as a business, where those challenges are. They can be technical and business, understanding the processes that are aligned to those challenges that we're looking to. Where in the business is that? What value does it offer the business? Understanding the gaps around those use cases as well, both technology, skills, process, and then we start to plan and enable. So what we really want to do in this stage is understand, right, what use cases are we targeting, the value these use cases are going to achieve, and alongside those use cases, the data, the governance, security, the processes, adoption and enablement that we also need, that will ensure that we can build a good solution, build incrementally on that, and then ensure that the solution is adopted by the business and consumed and showing value. So when we get into the solution design, we know the use cases, we've identified where and what processes are useful. We then need to look at a solution design. We then need to look at the requirements, understand those technical requirements and how they map to the business requirements. Is there a need for real-time data? Is there a need for, like, what scalability do we need? What architecture design does that meet? What tools? What's the best platform? What governance procedures do we need to put in place? i.e. business glossary will be very key. Definitions and terms and metrics and how we're going to consume and have that trusted data set. So at the back of the solution design, we've then got a sort of operational and project costs. So we now know the use cases, we know the technical solution, we know how much that's going to cost us to run, and also any project costs to implement that, whether that's time and money as well. Then we get into the build phase, and this is where we, in an iterative and incremental fashion, look to deploy any target architecture or services that are needed, build and develop the code, whatever's needed to build out those activities in building out that use case, test iteratively, UAT, feedback loops, and then we've obviously got the release. So we release it into production, and then we go into the sort of adoption enablement, knowledge sharing, business enablement, right? Ensuring the right people have the right access, ensuring that they're using it, working with key stakeholders, getting their feedback, understanding what they like, they don't like, what's useful within the single customer view, and then the operational support as well to ensure that the platform is up and running as needed for the business. So I sort of mentioned earlier about some use cases around where single customer view can really play a part. For four sort of identified, and again, you might think of many more outside of the ones that we've got here, but personalized marketing, enhanced customer service, customer retention, cross-selling, upselling. So if I just take the first one, as a personalized marketing, we want to start to deliver targeted campaigns to our customers. We want to offer recommendations, maybe promotions based on their preferences. So we need to understand their purchase history. We need to understand how they've interacted with us. And we then want to segment these individuals and into groups, so we can then start to have maybe targeted campaigns for a specific group that's like a particular category, product, service that we're offering, and then maybe giving them some exclusive promotions like 10%, 20%, limited time discounts, etc., that might entice them to purchase and obviously any product or service that we're offering. So I'll sort of break that down into the sort of next stage of that. And this is where we start to map out the business benefits and understanding, and these are sort of areas. These obviously isn't a fully fledged list, but it just gives you points for consideration on where and what you might consider a benefit to their use case. So that personalized marketing campaign, and again, this needs, you need to have a baseline. What's the sales before and during and after, so you can see the benefit of any, and obviously monitor any increased revenue in sales. Obviously, alongside that is cost and margin as well, to ensure that it's not costing you more than it is to get these new customers in, and how can you obviously ensure that your revenue is growing as well as your profit margins as well. Equally as well, tracking and monitoring conversion rates. So the idea is obviously we want more customers to come back and keep engaging with us as a business. So again, mapping and monitoring a conversion rate of, if we are doing targeted campaigns, who are we targeting, why are we targeting, and then what's the conversion rate of that campaign, so we can start to measure and then feed back into future campaigns and marketing that may lead to improved conversion rates as well. We're looking for key things like order value, the engagement, how a customer interacts with us, but the main goal is really increasing customer retention. So again, it's tracking and monitoring these key areas that are shown, and then that becomes the base mark for success. In terms of, might be one or two of these that you're looking for your first use case, but in turn, it's really where's the value and how we're going to track and monitor that value. I've sort of spoken about the use cases. I've spoken about the journey, and in terms of a platform, there are several options out there, and there might be that you use them in conjunction with Microsoft Fabric, but Microsoft have launched Microsoft Fabric. Many of you may have heard of that, and for those who haven't, this is a quick understanding about what it is. Microsoft offers various services across the board, data services that often are PaaS services, and they often need integrating with each other. And again, each of these services that you see along the top, data integration, engineering, warehouse science, there's already services out of the box that are consumed in a PaaS way. This Microsoft Fabric is a software as a service, otherwise known as a SaaS product, and it combines the key elements within those data services together to fundamentally allow you from left to right to have a unified data foundation, so you can bring data into one centralized storage location. You can integrate data from other sources, process that data using data engineering like Synapse pipelines, model and serve that data in a data warehouse, apply data science, so machine learning models, for instance, like forecasting and customer churn. There might be a need for real-time analytics like logs, customer event traffic, etc. We want to analyze that data, so Power BI becomes a very key tool to gather insights and intelligence from those reports and data that we've modeled and consumed. And Data Activator allows us to, it acts as almost like a behind the scenes, sort of observes patterns and trends, and if certain thresholds are met and certain conditions, or even having it run on a scheduled basis, if certain conditions of data, if the data is not met validation, for instance, mark that data, track that emails, send out emails. Again, there's a whole host of use cases that can be used around Data Activator. But what this really does give Microsoft Fabric from a technological perspective to serve single customer view is, it unifies all these services. You've got security and governance embedded in with this, and I'll sort of touch on Microsoft Purview in a moment, as well as from a data governance perspective. But it allows you to have a SaaS-based product, so you've got one product and it can meet analytical, it can meet integration, and it can also meet the needs to develop and build out a single customer view as well. And in terms of how we do that, like I sort of mentioned, this key aspects. So first off, one of the key challenges we were talking around earlier was silo data. Data can be held in premise on other cloud platforms. Often it's very difficult to overcome and bring this data together complex integrations often are needed, or data ETL processes. So again, having one lake, it allows us to mirror data, shortcut data, and even, using tools like Data Factory, ingest data into one lake as well. So we've got the ability to break down those barriers of what often was a big challenge in consuming data. And those challenges are time. Often to bring all this data in before the business realizes value can often take weeks and months, and that's even before the business is even seeing any type of insight from the data. So the one lake gives us the ability to sort of break that barrier down, reduce complex tasks, and also with Power BI, there's technological benefits of serving that data as well, and how that data is processed for reporting, and you can query directly off of the one lake. Microsoft Purview isn't actually part of a Microsoft Fabric, but it's a secondary service that we look at, and this is really beneficial for ensuring data accuracy, lineage, glossary, terms, definitions. And what that enables us is to the data that we're ingesting, we can build a business glossary, we can monitor the accuracy of this data, we can have defined data terms that are used by the business and understood by the business. Margin equals a definition of XYZ. What does that mean? And that also helps with operational efficiencies as well. So no longer are you looking for data, you can understand where that data is and how that data is used. Integrations. So we've got two types of tool here. We've got Data Factory, we've got Synapse Engineering, used for like matching customer records, applying that business process logic, enriching those customer records. So joining those data sets from one lake together, whether that's transactional data, social data, web interaction data, can even write back to source systems, or even into like a master data management platform. Sorry. Again, you've got a variety of use cases where those integration tools can play their part. And then we've got the modeling of the data. So we've got the data, we've enriched that data. We now need to serve that data out to the business and model that into a data model. So like you might have a customer dimension, you might have a sales sort of fact table that you want to model and serve that data out. So you can start to slice and dice the customer attributes and understand their sales and purchases behavior. So you can understand what they've purchased, the key products, the key demographics, the key segmentation logic that you've all applied using those tools in the integration step. And then there's obviously, in addition with reporting tools like Power BI, it leads to, enhanced use of data within the business, how that data can be used, customer insights, improved decision making, stock, sales optimization, marketing campaigns. And you start to use that data in a data-driven form as well. So self-serve analytics, pre-canned reports, but also the ability to do ad hoc analysis as well. And this obviously, has a big benefit to the business in terms of productivity as well. So those meaningless tasks that can take a long time to get insight, and we often hear challenges around, this particular process to bring all this data together, to model that data and then push this out can often take several hours or days. And the business are wanting this information in a lot quicker time frame. And then on top of that, we've got advanced analytics as well. So we can start to use, I've sort of mentioned around advanced analytics, machine learning models, for instance, and you can integrate with AI. So as we've got that data, we can start to ask further questions, understand deeper insights of that data as well. So customer churn, forecasting models, embedding AI into, an application to query data, so you can get sort of using natural language processing tools of text to query data and understand results of that data, in addition to Power BI as well. In terms of how that sort of fits in as a architecture, on the left-hand side, you have got the variety of data sources I've sort of mentioned previously on this session, ERP, CRM, loyalty, website traffic, socials, you name it. They've all got different connectors and connectivity points. Using data integration tools like Data Factory or Synapse pipelines, we can process this data into a raw layer in one lake and then enrich that data in the silver workspace and model that data into the gold workspace. So by the end of that gold workspace, we've got curated data that's been modeled aligned to business processes. and then we can then serve that data into a single customer view. So we've taken data from various sources, customer data, we've merged, we've matched, we've enriched, and now we can push that data out into a single customer view that can be modeled for, operations, it can be insights, analysis, and we can even further enrich that in, with other use cases like forecasting, recommendation engine, fraud detection, customer churn, just to name a few. And then we can serve that data out to the business in the forms of reports, applications, front ends, so that data can be consumed in a variety of ways. And I guess just to leave with one last point around Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric offer retail data solutions, and what that means is that they've got some key benefits and solutions as part of Microsoft Fabric that are geared towards retailers themselves. Three key areas of note, in addition to all the benefits I've sort of mentioned around Fabric before, but the retail data model, Copilot as well, that can be embedded into websites and applications, and then a machine learning model that's frequently brought together. But the first one, the retail industry data model, what that is, that's a structured framework that really sort of streamlines the process of building that data model. Now, it gives you a start for 10, so it's not going to be perfect by no stretch of the imagination, but however, it gets you started. It's a leg up. It lets you, model and enrich that data model to then build out a data model using the common data model, such as customer, purchases, sales, stock, inventory, all of that good stuff. And then from there, you've got an out-the-box configurable data model that can sit on reports that are either pre-canned, ad hoc, built for the business. In addition to that, once that data is modeled and using that industry data model, putting the machine learning model on top of that is literally an out-the-box job using the frequently brought together machine learning model. So again, starts to look and understand that if I bought a t-shirt, I might buy shorts. If I bought this at an airport, I tend to buy X, Y, Z. So again, you can start to strategically place products in store or even together online, or, we've all seen it online as well. You've bought this, you might also want X, Y, Z alongside it as well. So again, it enriches and, from a customer experience perspective, it makes my life easier. I don't have to go 3 or 4 places to look at it. It's okay, I've got the shorts, I see the t-shirt, I want to buy them together. Again, it makes data-driven processes and the experience of using data for promotion analysis and other revenue-based opportunities as well for upsell and cross-sell. That is all for the session itself. So I thank you very much for your time in listening there. Nikki, has there been any questions, or is there any questions that have come in along the way?
Yes, there have been a couple of questions off the back of registrations and invites. So the first one says, what are the common challenges faced by retailers in achieving a single customer view, and how does Microsoft Fabric help overcome these obstacles?
Okay, thank you for the question. I guess to answer that question, there's probably 2 key ways of answering that. So I'll start with the challenges first, and then I'll sort of cover into how Microsoft helps. We spoke about some of the challenges in the session earlier, data silos being one. So data is housed in a variety of formats, whether that's structured, unstructured, or semi-structured, on-premise, cloud-based. Again, bringing those data sets together can often be a challenge, particularly as well if those data sets are housed in on-premise or other cloud vendors as well. So often there's more architecture that's needed to serve that data out. Getting that data can be a timely process, especially if it takes hours to retrieve that, to model that and serve that data out to the business. And that is where we start to then see departments extract data themselves from source systems. So there's a whole host of technological challenges there. In addition, we've got data quality and consistency issues as well. So again, starting with an understanding and auditing the existing data that's in the business, ensuring that it's of significant quality that can be consumed by the business. Often, customers will state that quality, data quality is good, data is captured, but it's that consistency. If you've got multiple ERP platforms housed in different regions, areas, are they all following the same process? Are they consistently capturing the same data? That is where sometimes, the single customer view can fall down, and then we've got the integration complexities as well. I sort of mentioned, bringing those silos together, scalability issues as well. Often technology is creaking at the seams. Existing technology can't serve the processes and the data volumes that are in place, and we've also got the data privacy and compliance. But I guess in short, how does Microsoft help that? I sort of touched on that a bit with the few slides prior, but a unified data platform, having data scattered all around in various storage locations can often be a challenge. Bringing that together, with one lake, if you've got data already, you can mirror data from SQL Server database, you can shortcut that data from Google, Salesforce. There's various connectors, and they're ongoing development there. So whether you're a multi-cloud or whether you've got data housed in other data locations in Azure, you can bring all that together, and that minimizes that development time. So the integration capabilities, get ticked off there as well. We've got advanced data quality tools, so we can analyze our data. I mentioned around data advocator as well, or activator, sorry, in which you can, put checks in place on data. You can have processes, those ETL runs, as data's ingested, validating that data. If that data does not meet to a certain standard, flag that data for correction and audit purposes to ensure that the data that's ingested is of significant quality. We've got scalability and performance. So Microsoft Fabric is a cloud-based platform. Like most cloud-based tools, has the ability to grow as the demand's needed. So again, if you've got hotspots, if you're running events or key sales promotions, as it were, then yes, having the scalability to upscale when you need the processing power, and obviously, and ensuring performance is needed as and when the data is needed. And from a security and compliance perspective, data is secured, modeled using, encryption. You can use keys, VNet access. There's a lot of ways in which Fabric can help as well. But Fabric itself is a good consolidated tool that offers a lot of out-the-box services, frameworks, and capabilities that streamline the approach to a single customer view. Hopefully that helps answer the question.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, it does. And I'd give the second question, which is, what strategic objectives and approach should retailers prioritize when developing a roadmap for a single customer view?
Okay, so on this one, again, probably a similar approach to the last question. I'll break it down into two chunks. From a strategic approach or objectives, first off, having the customer at the heart of what we're looking to do. So really spend time value to the business. That's often very key from a strategic perspective. Ensuring the data-driven decision making is form part of that. So what data does the business need? Where are the challenges to getting that data? How can we overcome those challenges? And again, it sort of feeds back into that, putting the customer at the very heart of what we're doing here with a single customer view, and having strategic approaches around operational efficiencies. So how much time are we going to save by doing this? What other activities and where can staff be utilized in addition to the time saved, the revenue growth? I sort of mentioned earlier around the use cases. Where's the opportunity to upsell, cross-sell? Where can we, increase our revenue and map that revenue growth as well? So it's okay saying that we want to increase, sales by 20%. How are we going to do that? And how are we going to track to ensure that we meet that target as well? And obviously make sure that the platform itself is compliant with both regulation and security features like encryption, GDPR, etc. as well. So in terms of actually an approach to developing a single customer view, I'd say define clear objectives. So align with the business goals and customer-centric strategies. And in addition to that, just making sure that the use cases are mapped and prioritized in terms of effort and value. So again, starting to build that roadmap of the objectives of what's going to meet the business's goals and support the business on its growth and journey. with its 3-year, 5-year plan, etc. Stakeholder engagement is also key from developing a single customer view. So don't start with just one team. Involve key stakeholders from various departments, such as marketing, sales, IT, customer service, merchandising. So this enables a cross-functional collaboration, and it's essential then for basically understanding the broad spectrum of data that's needed to ensure that the single customer view and the goals aligned to that are all understood by all the teams, and they feel that they're part of the journey. And in addition to that, key other areas to developing a single customer view: audit your existing data. The key data sources that we're looking to bring in for single customer view, ensuring that they have got data quality metrics, integration challenges, are they siloed data challenges, technical and business challenges that result around the current landscape. And then looking at the right tool or tool sets, whether that's Microsoft Fabric, Azure Data Platform Services, and then obviously I guess just to sort of leave it on a note of implement incrementally and start with a pilot project, demonstrate value. So get that quick win, that high business value, low effort, and then refine and get buy-in from other stakeholders to really gradually expand, develop the solution, and then bring in other data sources, other use cases. And that really leads on to the last point. It's a continuous improvement. So once you've got the first base level and you've developed the use cases, regularly review, update the strategy around single customer view, get feedback from the business and the evolving business needs, and that will ensure that the single customer view remains relevant and effective as well to the business goals and journey that it's looking to undertake.
Right. Thank you, Dan. There's one
No
more
worries.
question come. I'd give that for you. So it's for non-D2C companies, how to acquire customer data for online retailers, and when acquired, how Microsoft Fabric can be helpful in this case.
Okay, so that was non-DC, so non-warehouse. So the warehouse is housed by a third party, and you want that data to be served into a centralized platform. If I've understood the question right, if I haven't, do let me know. How Microsoft Fabric can help is often with third-party vendors, whether that's a DC or whether that's vendors of other sorts, help, whether that's a marketing company, etc. There might be data sets. So this is relevant to all external vendors rather than the DC, but working with that vendor, understanding how data can be made available. So what method that may be, whether that's SFTP, whether that's APIs, whether that's data storage location, and then from there using tools like Synapse Pipelines, Data Factory, ingesting that data into OneLake, depending on how you're serving all that data served from the third-party vendor. It may well be that you can use things like shortcuts. If they push out to a data lake, you might be able to mirror that data lake. So again, you can streamline the data integration activities there. But predominantly using a combination of OneLake, Synapse Pipelines, and Microsoft Data Fabric, or Data Factory rather. The combination of those three tools will ensure that data will land into a centralized repository, and then from there you can use tools like the pipelines and Data Factory to model and process that data to serve that and model that to the business as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. There's one more come up about costing and licenses. So the question says, could they please have an overview of initial cost and license involved in the business that wants to start their Fabric journey?
Yeah, I guess that's probably one to just maybe take offline. So whoever's asked that question, if you can reach out maybe directly, but to give you a start at the 10, Microsoft Fabric offers a variety of licensing models at varying costs. So it's those costs are online. You can see them, and I can point you to them as well. But it's probably worth noting that again, there's dependent on the use cases and how you want to get started. You can start from the very basic license model, which is something around £200 a month. And you could do pay as you go, or you could do reserved instances. There are various factors that's probably answering that question. So I'd need to understand a bit more about what is after to give a specific cost. But yes, dependent on the licensing model and the license you take, anything less than an F64, Power BI isn't included. So you need Power BI licenses on top of that as another consideration. But yeah, it'd be an understanding of how many users, how big the platform needs to be, who needs to use this platform, for me to sort of give a validated answer against that. But hopefully it gives you enough to get started with, and I'm happy to take that question offline and provide more information where needed.
Right. Perfect. And that brings the end of the questions. There's been one request to share the slides, which we will do after the session. We will do the live, we will share the session as well. Perfect. And that brings the end. And I will invite my colleague Sean on. Sean, could you share the screen, please?
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. There you go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. As Nikki said, I'm Sean Carmody. I work alongside Nikki and Dan, supporting a wide range of customers that we have here at Coeo, and also supporting people who aren't customers of Coeo to perhaps understand a little bit more about the services we offer and how we can help support. So I hope you've all enjoyed hearing all of the great insight from Dan this morning. And I just wanted to spend a minute or two, Max, just to explain a couple of straightforward, immediate ways that we can engage and support you to follow up and get a greater insight in the context of your organizations around the topics that we've covered. So the first engagement is something that we've devised in conjunction with Microsoft, and Microsoft have kindly funded this initiative. So just to be clear, these are free to anybody who wishes to take us up on this offer, but we have devised a half-day transformative analytics workshop, which we can provide more detail on, but essentially allows us a chance to review your current data strategy, understand current challenges and direction of the business, and by tying those two together, bring to life in real world terms how Fabric and AI can help you underpin both. So how can we align the use of Fabric and AI as part of your data strategy to drive the goals of the business and the requirements of your business? So that's the first thing. And alongside the slides that Nikki mentioned, we'll happily send out afterwards, we'll include some information on this, and anybody who wishes to understand more or discuss further, please get in touch. We'd be happy to do so. The second engagement is something that, based on feedback from clients and prospects over the recent months, we've devised, and this, I guess, takes the workshop on another level. It's our Fabric in 5. So across a really short, sharp engagement, we're able to support you to actually deploy Fabric, ingest and model some data from a specific source, deliver some insight on that data via Power BI. So you get a real deep understanding in a really fast, efficient manner on the inner workings of Fabric, how you could use it in your organization, how it can support your data and your data strategy, and drive insight in the next generation of kind of Microsoft's most advanced data and AI solution to date. And the good news is, if you wish to engage in this, this is an engagement that's eligible for Microsoft funding. So again, we can talk about how we might be able to access some funding for that, so that it's frictionless for you to get up and running and understanding Fabric really, really quickly. I guess both of those were designed in mind with trying to help you, I guess, get AI ready, unify those data silos. I know that's something that's been covered quite a lot today. Help you understand how you can really drive real-time analytics, and also, because let's not forget how important this is, optimize the costs in your organization and your use of the tools and data infrastructure that you have. Finally, just a little bit about Coeo. So yes, we've talked about Customer 360, we've talked about Fabric, but I guess this slide and this graphic really sums up well who Coeo are and how we help. And I guess we are all in on data, all in on Microsoft, and whether we can help with you defining your data strategy or the next phase of that data strategy, or if we take the journey of data being housed in line of business applications or external data sources, all the way through to being ingested, modeled, utilized in your business to drive analytics, leverage the latest generation of AI and LLM tools, and surface that in things like data visualizations and Power BI. That covers the full gamut of how Coeo support our clients. So on any given day, all of our people are helping our clients become more data driven in any one of these areas. And it's all underpinned by our ability to deliver this via a managed service that supports not only the build, but then the ongoing support, maintenance, and standing up of that key data infrastructure. A final slide from me before you can all go and enjoy your mid-morning coffee and maybe cake. Yes, we've talked a lot about retail, and I know, having seen the attendee list, the vast majority of people on this call are from the retail industry, but I know there are other attendees from outside. We have been working since 2007 and helping people get the best out of the Microsoft data solution set across all industries, but more predominantly financial services, so banking, capital markets, insurance, retail and consumer goods, and into the wider professional services and other sectors. And so, yes, if what you've heard is really interesting to you, but you're not from the world of retail, and please don't be put off. We have many years experience and external perspective we can bring, either in your industry or from the wider industries that we work in. So look, hopefully you've enjoyed it. As Nikki and Dan said, we'll get all the information out to you in the coming days. For those of you who've asked those specific questions, particularly the one around cost and licensing, please do contact us directly and we can get into more detail. And obviously that applies as well for anybody who has more detailed questions that they'd love to discuss as a follow-up. Let us know. We'll happily schedule time, come and see you, sit down, help bring some of this to life a little bit more. So I told you it'd be a couple of minutes. I think it was 3.5, but thank you very much and hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dan. And thank you everyone for joining today. Look forward to hearing back from you and connecting later. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thanks all.